Alright everyone, I'm back. This is the Chevy G3500 series Express van. Last video we put the wheels on. This video we are changing this assembly here because the bearings are no good. And we will also be changing this. So far I took the brake caliper off. I opened the reservoir under the hood, then took a screwdriver, big screwdriver, stuck it behind and pushed the plunger back enough to where this slid off pretty easy. Hung it up here with an extension cord, being careful not to damage or pinch your brake line here. So next thing is to take this off so you can get to your axle nut. Just use a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, put it in here carefully and beat and pry it off until it pops off. There we go. There's your cotter pin and your axle nut. So let me get that off and we'll go from there. Okay, so you take your cotter pin out, take your axle nut off, then you'll pull on the rotor and your bearing and your washer will come off, and so will your hub and rotor assembly. Then you're left with this, packed all greasy, messy. So right now I'm taking some towels and cleaning this up a little bit so I can see a little bit further, and I'll be back. Alright, so I forgot to push record when I was packing the bearings, but that's alright. We still have to do the other side, and I'll show that process on that side with full detail. But anyways, you get your bearings and everything packed, put them in. Again, like I said, I'll show you in full detail on the other side because I forgot to hit the record button. But once you put it all back together on these style vans, these tapered cone style bearings, I guess you don't really need a whole lot of torque to hold them down. So we're going to tighten this up a little bit, get good and tight. Let's say about 12 pounds. That's all you need. Then you rotate it a few times so you can seat your bearing in there. Just a few revolutions. Then I'm going to loosen it back up. A little bit more play. Tighten back up. Couple more. Okay. Loosen it again. Okay. Now, this only needs to be about finger tight or a little past finger tight, just enough to get your cotter pin back in. Okay. Not sure if this should be. You can see in here what I'm trying to do. You can see the hole for your cotter pin right there. Now you want this to be just finger tight, really. So if I loosen it up to there, I can move that with my hands easy. But in my hole is right there for the cotter pin, but I don't know if that's gonna be tight enough or if I should go to the next, to the next slot. I think I'll go to the next slot because it's not a whole lot of difference. Hopefully that's fine. It should be fine. I definitely can't move it with my finger. Maybe I should back it off. Okay, I definitely can move that one with my fingers. So maybe that. Okay, so this is the grease I use. STP premium grease, high temp. If you read the back, it says it's for bearings, high grade, high temperature. But anyways, so we got the nut. Yeah, we got the axle nut hand tight. Take our cotter pin. Get it lined up in there. Get your cotter pin in. Bend your tabs out. Okay, so now I got that done. Take your cap, get your little grease in there. guess we shouldn't be too stingy with the grease. That looks good. Should wear gloves. Definitely save you some towels and stuff. Alright. Once you get that all greased up real good, take it back over. And put her back on. Alright. So now let me get this straightened up a little bit and get the brake pads out, and we'll mess with the brakes. Not too bad for not being a mechanic. That's what we're here for. We'll learn it together. I'll be right back. Alright, so this was the old part, old bearings. The new ones wasn't wobbling this much, so I guess that's what made them bad. I don't know. The grease is shot too, I think. Looks old and again, I'm sorry I didn't show the process of packing the bearings and putting it all back on. I forgot to hit the record button, but we will definitely show you on the other side because I gotta do both sides. I'll do it better with detail so you guys can see exactly what we did, whatever. Also, I was pretty nervous about doing this myself, but I decided, you know, let's just give it a shot. And honestly, so far I'm glad I did. It seemed like a pretty tough job, but honestly, so far it hasn't been too bad, and it's a good learning experience. Really, just, you know, don't get discouraged. Tell yourself, we can do this. Get your toolbox out. I don't have any special tools. A couple little jacks. A couple little jack stands, a little jack, and just some basic, you know, hand tools. I have nothing special. And this is, you know, I work on houses and things. I'm not a mechanic by any means. So, for me, you know, if I can do this, so can you. Alright, it's time to start working on the brakes. I'll show you guys all the part numbers that I used as well. The brake rotor is a Duralast brake rotor. This was the little seal part that goes on the back. Now you'll have to beat this in with a hammer and a piece of wood, but again, I'll show you how to do that on the other side. So for the job, you'll have this again, this part number is the steel. Then you'll have this 15103S. For my Spanish viewers. And then you also have the Duralast bearings, seals. This is the set 45. Now with this, I'm not sure why. I think it's this one. Yes. So this one comes with this ring here. And I could not find a spot where this goes. So, and it wasn't on when I took this one off, so I hope that it's not needed. It does separate and come apart. So that's all it is. I hope I don't need it. It wasn't on the old when I took it off, so I hope it's just something to protect the bearings on the outside of this or something. I don't know. It seems like it's meant to go together, but it wasn't on here and I couldn't find anywhere for it to go. I'm not sure if some models need it and some don't. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic, so we'll get into that once we get to the other side. Right now we're going to work on the brakes. So we got two of the rotors, one for passenger, one for driver. Two of the seals, 4740. Two of the 15103S bearing. And two of the set 45 bearings. Then you will need some grease, STP premium grease, high temp. You'll need some of this. Then I'm doing the brake pads as well. Since I'm already going through and taking everything apart and putting a brand new rotor, I thought, what the heck? Plus, there was a deal where I almost basically got this set of pads for free when I bought the two rotors. There's a little special they had going on, but the brake pads, MKD 370. Yeah. So, I've never done a brake job before, believe it or not. So, let's get into it and see what we got. Alright, so here's your brake caliper. Your brake pads go in here. And your brake rotor. See if I can get you guys positioned. So the only thing holding that on was two tabs. This is a thing that squeaks. When your brake pads get too low, it'll hit the metal on here and will squeak. That's a little indicator showing you that, letting you know that it's time to change your brakes. That's the squeaking noise you'll hear when you're hitting your brakes and hear the squealing. That's that. Alright, this. The only thing holding it in is these little clips here. They fit inside of the, it's chipped up and everything. So yeah, these two clips fit right inside this part of your caliper. And then on the front side, these two little clips here go in this little hole here and here. So I'm gonna clean this up a little bit, all this around this edge a little here, clean it up just a tiny bit before I put the new pads in. I'll be right back. Alright, doing the brakes. Got this all cleaned up as good as I could real fast. I'm gonna end up probably replacing them in a video later, but we'll see what happens. This one, real easy, snaps into place. It's got grooves right here on the rotor. The calipers for these to line up to, and then you just squeeze it together and it slides in. The back ones, motorcycle. The back ones go in. Like so. Hopefully that's going to be enough room for these. I might have to squeeze the little plunger thing back in there a little more with a C-clamp or something, but give me a second. Let me see if I can get it lined up and put it back on there. Okay. Slid on pretty easy. Now you take your caliper bolt, stick them back in this hole. This one down here. Okay. Okay, those are both started. Get your 3/8 X bit. Get them nice and snug. Alright, so I think next I'm gonna put my tire on and we will, see if I can get it to focus. I may have to breathe the brakes, I'm not sure, but there is a space between the brake pad and the rotor on the front, and maybe even on the back too. I'm not sure if that means I'm going to have to bleed them or what, but give me a minute, I'll be right back and we'll do the other side. Again, I'll do it in better detail so that you can see me actually going through packing the bearings and putting it all back on and stuff. And I apologize for not hitting the record button on this side, but I'll make up for it on the other side. Again, it's pretty easy. Nothing really fought me too bad, so that's good. Give me a minute to get this tire on and we'll try the other side. Okay, first thing, move this. Cotter pin. Sorry about my neighbors. My neighbors are out. Man, they're loud. Axle nut off. Next, you'll pull your brake caliper bolts off. On this model, we're using a 3/8 hex. You got 2 bolts on the back. One here and one here. Top and the bottom. I'll take them out and I'll be right back. Something I should have mentioned is before you take your caliper bolts out, this you should push back some. It's a little easier to try to do it this way, and you put the axle nut back on a little bit too, sorry. But push this back a little bit, and you gotta push, make sure the reservoir cap, take your reservoir cap off too before you mess with this. But once you push this back some, be careful if you're not changing your pads too, because you don't want to damage your pads or your rotors or anything if you're not changing them. But we're changing the rotors in this case and the pads, so if something was to happen, I guess wouldn't be the end of the world. But so get your ratchet, break free your caliper bolts. On this, there's 2, one at the bottom. top. Alright, before you drop the last one, make sure you have something like I know I called it an extension cord earlier, but a bungee cord or a string, rope, something, because you're going to want to tie this up to something up in here so that it's not hanging and messing up your brake line. So I'm going to be using a bungee cord, not an extension cord. I guess if you're careful, like really careful, no, I'm still gonna put the bungee. That. Just get it out of the way. Now we can come back over here, remove this. Oh. Remove your axle nut. Sorry about the car, it's my neighbor. Remove your axle nut. Keep your washer. So, as you see, that comes right off of there like that. You might have one sticking to the back or something. You might have to kind of use a screwdriver to pry it off or something, but mine just popped right off. We're going to get some towels, clean this all up really well, clean up around this, all up around this, just clean it up a little bit. Definitely get rid of all the old grease. Okay, I'm back. I haven't cleaned this up very much, but I'm sitting here trying to work on this, and just out of nowhere it decides it wanted to pour. It only lasted about 5 minutes, but all my tools and everything got wet, and so did I. And it looked like it was going to last longer, so I put everything up. So now I got to bring everything back out, but I'll show you once I get everything cleaned up. And yeah, get it cleaned up a lot. Just using an old wood chisel, being careful knocking off all the old loose stuff. So once I get it finished, I'll be back. Okay, so for this part, I'm gonna start with this. This wasn't on either side, so I don't need it on my vehicle, or at least I hope that's the case. I'm gonna start with this because this is the one that goes closest to the, it's closest to your shaft. Alright, so there are way better ways of doing this. They have bearing packers and all kinds of stuff. But if you don't have that, then I guess this is the way to go. So you just take it and you just keep squeezing it in. And you will get super greasy, super messy. It will get everywhere. You literally just want to keep packing it, literally packing it in as much as you can until they want it to come out the bottom, but I can't ever get it to. As much as I was playing with it on the other side, ended up having to, well, I'll show you in a minute if I can't get this side to do it. Oh, yeah, it is starting to. I guess you just gotta keep really pushing it in and messing with it. Alright, so I'm gonna pause this and I'll get back with you once I get this one finished. That way I don't have a video that's an hour long and half of it's me doing this. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm finishing up on this one. And once you get it all good, packed, I'm on my hands and knees. This is tough, sorry about all the movement. Alright, so just make sure everything's real good and packed full of grease. Okay, like that there. So I have to leave it greasy, like that. Okay, I'll be right back once I get the other one opened up. Alright, now this one is the 15103S, and with this one we're gonna do the same thing. Take your grease and just start packing it in. Once you get it so far in there and packed in, or once it starts getting good and packed, you'll let me see if I can get it to focus so that I can show you. All them little grooves in there, all them little, you'll start seeing the grease coming through those. And then you know you got it good. Once you get it close, I flipped it over and packed it from the back side the rest of the way, and then proceeded to put more around, all the way around the outer edges here too. So I think it should be good, but once I get this one done, I'll be right back. Okay, so I should have done this with gloves, but I forgot, so here we go. Put a big old helping in here. I'm not really sure how much you're supposed to actually put in here, but I guess too much is better than not enough. But that seems sufficient, especially because there's grease on the bearing as well. Okay, so this is the big one, the first one I did, the set 45. I'm not sure that you got to do this, but I am, just because. I should have kept the gloves on. Alright, this drops in there. And you take your seal, which is part 4740. And what you're gonna want to do is just grease that a little bit. Alright, then this goes on top of that. You gotta be careful because you want this to stay on and go straight. Like, you don't want to mess this up. Let me get my hands cleaned up and I'll show you what we're gonna do. Okay, so for this, just a block of wood. You put it on here, like that, and give it a couple taps. where you want this to go in straight and just like that. Don't forget to clean up your bolts for your caliper. Clean them up a little bit. And don't forget to clean up your cap and your cotter pin. So I'm going to do that real quick since I forgot, and I'll be right back. Alright, now that, oh, a little heavy in it. Now that I got my axle nut, my cotter pin, my safety washer or something, whatever you want to call that, and my cap clean, we are going to grease this thing up. So once you have it all cleaned up, nice and clean, same grease that you pack the bearings with, we're going to just put it on there. Alright, once you get that all good and situated, get your finger clean back off. Okay, so once you get all this nice and greased up, get your finger cleaned off. I'm gonna take your hub. And you're going to carefully put this on here, like so. Then you're going to take your other bearing, actually I'm going to take some grease and put it in here a little bit like this. Take the bearing, put that in there, like so. Okay. Then you take your little washer, the word grease on that. Alright, put that on. It can only go on one way. It's got that groove in it. And then I'm going to take your axle nut, tighten her up pretty tight, not super tight, just tight. Spin it around some. Tighten it up a tiny bit more. Spin it some more. Tighten a little more. I'm not going super tight each time I tighten this up. It's very little because it doesn't take much. We're going to back it off, loosen it up. Loosen it up some. Loosen it up a little bit. Spin it around. up. Spin it. Loosen it back up. Cotter pin and it's supposed to be in tight, which is right there, okay. I'll turn it tight. Get the cotter pin in. Oh, 1 second, I gotta grab needle nose. Alright, got my needle nose. Get your cotter pin in there. Don't ask me why this cotter pin's kicking my butt, but it is. Okay. I think we finally got her. Yeah. Alright. Cotter pin's in. Everything seems to be fine. Then, last thing, take your cap, and you guessed it, grease her up. Grease her up. Not sure exactly how much you're supposed to put in, but I guess, yeah, something like this. Maybe a it's gonna go into the hub. Just something like this. Center that real nice. Oh. Guess that'll happen if you get a little too much, so don't be scared to get too much, I suppose. Alright. And that concludes that part. Now, the brake pads. So let me get this stuff straightened up a little bit. I'll be right back. Alright, so we're back to brake pads. This is them again, just so you know. Neighbors are out again, sorry about the noise. Alright, so to take these out, clip here, pry on them a little bit, push them out. The back ones, just pull them out, real simple. Pull them, towards this brake pad. Let me do that, I'll be right back. Okay. Now, this needs cleaned up just a little bit around the edge. Do what you can. I'm probably gonna end up replacing them in another video, but for now I'm not doing it. Real easy, like I said. This goes in there like this, and just these two tabs here and here. This and this go in these two holes, so you pry them out a little bit and pull out. That one, just grab and pull this way. Simple. New ones, put them back the same way. So this brake pad is going to go in there just like this. Well, in there. And then these two tabs on the back of this one are just going to pinch into that. Then the front one will be the same. It'll go in just like this, push it in place, and these two tabs will go in these holes. Let me get this little plunger part of the brake caliper cleaned up real fast, and I'll show you. Alright, I didn't want to put too much effort and time into it because, like I said, I'll probably replace them soon, but I did wipe down the edge of it pretty good, as good as I could, just with a clean rag, blew it out a little bit. So, take this back brake pad, put it up in there. Okay. So this one is, oh, actually that's not in there. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me see. Okay, now it's in there. Just had to push it in a little better and align it a little better. It's starting to get dark out here, so. Alright, so this one, this tab is just to let you know when your brake pads are getting low. It'll squeal. I'm sure most of you guys know that, but just throwing that out there. Now there's 2 little dents on that, on there and there. You can see the bottom one good. There's that one. That these little nipples on the back of this line up too, and then that helps you to where you can just squeeze it together. But I'm going to have to pause. Okay, so that's in, not going anywhere, tight. Alright, now undo your cord, untie it up. Still be careful that you don't mess up your brake line. You don't want to do that. And once I get mine down and I get the bracket on and ready for the bolts, we'll show you the next step. This is all I meant by clean up your bolts. Nothing fancy. I just wipe them down with a rag real good. Make them a little easier to get them back in when you use them. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, so I ran into a problem. I guess I didn't back that in far enough, so what I'm gonna have to do is get a C-clamp and C-clamp that, so I'll be back in a minute after I get that. Alright, got the caliper on. That was the problem. I just didn't back that out far enough. I just had to use a C-clamp and pinch it together a little better. So put your bolts back in. Give me 1 second. Okay. is that. So, what do I think? As far as difficulty goes, it wasn't too bad, pretty easy. Didn't run into very many problems at all, if any, really. Yeah, other than just, doubting myself, which, sometimes we do, but if you don't have much experience doing things with cars and such, that's okay. I don't either. Just I thought this was going to be a lot harder than it was, which discouraged me from doing it sooner. I just didn't want to pay nobody to have to do it. When I went to get the alignment, they said I needed to change a couple things, so instead of paying that high price bill, I decided let's just make a video and attempt it ourselves. So it wasn't that bad. I used basic tools, nothing fancy at all. That's for the brake caliper on this van is a 3/8 hex drive, hex bit. I showed you guys all the part numbers for all the bearings and everything. So yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to belay the brakes or not. It's definitely pretty loose in there, so I don't know if I put the cap on and hit the brakes, if that'll tighten itself up or what, but we'll find that out in just a second once I get the tire on. Yeah, so definitely wasn't that bad at all.